Good evening and welcome to the April 20th, 2016 Town Board meeting. And I would ask that everyone please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Cole. Here. LaFountain.
Here.
Metzler. Here. Moore is absent. Quinn.
Here. We have two public hearings this evening, and before we get into those two public hearings, I'm going to take just a moment. I'm going to recognize a couple of members of our Rotary Club and of Stop Hunger Now, Jack Best and Eleanor. If you please come forward, we'd ask them if they would give us a short report out from a couple of weeks ago, and welcome, and thank you for your efforts.
Well, Tony and Town Board, thanks so much for being such great hosts for us. When together in our community, we brought together 350 volunteers from 30 different organizations that are associated with all of Penfield to package 65,000 meals. Now, Supervisor Tony, I must tell you that the town clerk was there, and she received a shirt like this. And Councilperson Linda was there, and she received a shirt like this. So we have for you a shirt.
Very good.
You were tied up.
Thank you very much.
You could have.
Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you.
All the rest of the boards to show up next year.
Yes.
And the rest of the audience.
So we're delighted to make you an honorary member of this particular group. Just a couple of other numbers that I think you might be interested in hearing about from us too, Tony.
We packaged over 65,000 meals that are going to be shipped overseas to countries where the kids need to have food to eat.
Yeah, 2 years ago it was Panama, last year it was Malawi.
We had 30 different organizations, 11 churches, 6 Rotary clubs, 10 corporate and business sponsors, 3 not-for-profit sponsors. The Warriors Salute team came in and they did all the heavy lifting for us and were absolutely wonderful. We couldn't have done it without them.
So we had 350 volunteers, and how many walk-ins came in too?
We had 46 walk-ins. We had people that just saw, so we were at the library in the Penfield Rex building, and we had people just walk right in, you know. One lady I knew from church, she said, I didn't sign up, but can I come? And I said, sure, Barney, you can come.
So what's significant about the event is that it really shows that Penfield residents can work together. And when we talked about all the different organizations that were participating in this particular program together with the volunteers, it just enabled us to reach out to get people who are involved in our community to work together. And for that, you, town board members, can be proud, and we are certainly proud that we are members of the Penfield community.
And we encourage everybody to put it on their calendar for next year and to check out our Facebook page, Stop Hunger Now Eastside Communities. We have a website, Stop Hunger Now, which is the overall corporate page, stophungernow.org, that you can go on and continue to make donations to this wonderful, wonderful organization.
Those meals cost 29 cents a piece, and so from our community, we raised nearly $20,000. So
Very
people
nice.
really stepped up.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
Jack and Eleanor, thank you very much, and to your team and everyone involved and everyone that donated, and just delighted that we're able to do so much and make such a big difference. So thank you very much. All right. Thank you for allowing us that moment to report out on that. I will now ask our clerk to please identify the first public hearing, please.
To allow live music in the outdoor dining area at 2124 and 2126 5 Mile Line Road, known as Cha-Cha's Woodfire Bar and Grill in the Four Corners zoning district. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on March 31st, 2016, posted on the town website and the town clerk bulletin board. 25 postcards were mailed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Horowitz, is this properly before the board?
Yes, it is.
All right, great. Good evening. Welcome. We'd ask that you'd give your name and address for the record. And the board has all the material that you have submitted but we'd like you to go through that material for the record and just identify what you're planning on doing, number of times that you would like to hold your events, hours, things like that.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
I'm Paula Catalano from Cha-Cha's Bar and Grill on 2126 5 Mile Line Road.
Okay.
She can grab it.
So can we pull that,
Okay.
yeah, pull that right a little closer if that,
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Paula Catalano from 2126 5 Mile Line Road in Penfield, Cha-Cha's Wood Fire Bar and Grill. And I'm asking to have live music on our patio a few nights a week, or no, I'm sorry, a few times a month. It's going to be easy listening dinner music from 6 to 9 p.m. And it's vocals and a piano and/or acoustic guitar. It'll be inside the fenced patio area. And that's it.
okay. The hours, Paula?
6 to 9.
6 to 9?
Will there be any amplification?
They do have a small amplifier. It is the same amplifier that they use when they're indoors, just because of, I mean, an acoustic guitar, you can't hear very far into the, especially outside.
And you said several times a month. Is that twice a month or once a week?
Probably twice a month.
Okay.
Well, how would you advertise it? How would people know? Would you put it on an A-frame? Would you put it on your website?
It would go
Facebook?
on our website, and when we do newspaper ads, we'd put it in there.
Now, currently, there's seating for 24 on your patio. So this would be in addition to the 24 people. Say you had everybody seated there, you would have 24 on the tables, no additional seating for dining during the music hours?
We only have a certain amount of tables, so we don't plan on purchasing more tables to add for that, for those
And no
evenings.
additional seating for other people?
No.
So maximum of people who would be listening to this within the patio would be the 24 patrons that
Correct.
currently are permitted there.
And for rain dates, would you just move them inside? Would you just cancel it for the evening and do it another evening?
No, we would just move them into the lounge.
And is there a specific day of the week that you were looking at?
I usually would like to do a Thursday or a Saturday evening.
If you had your preference for one or the other, which would you choose?
I don't know, probably Thursday.
Okay. Board, other questions at this time for the applicant?
I guess the only thing would be, if somebody was complaining, you don't have a lot of housing right around there, but if it was loud enough, I don't know, down the street, Woodside, or something, all of a sudden they're hearing this music, and there's somebody that they could call, and you
Yeah,
would,
they could call the restaurant, absolutely. I mean, with the amount of traffic that's in front of my building, I don't foresee anyone hearing it over the traffic, but of course, if there was an issue, anyone could contact the restaurant.
Okay.
Now, you indicated, I have indication here for the type of music as light jazz, 70.
Have a microphone, would you please use it? 'Cause
Are these
we
not
really-
working?
These must not be.
Anything, the volume is too low. Turn up the volume.
or you just get closer to the mic.
All right, our friends downstairs, will hear that and make whatever appropriate adjustments they can make.
I'll speak.
We have a
louder
few
for
seats
that.
up here. If someone would like to come a little bit closer, we'd welcome you to do that as well.
You indicated on your application, is that better? Yes. Okay. If I lose my voice, I'll just rest and start up again. You indicate, I have a notation here for light jazz, 70s, 80s music, and weddings. Are you looking to perform weddings out there?
No, like the type of music you would hear at a wedding, like the 70s, like easy listening, not rock and roll, just, upbeat music that you would like to listen to sitting outside.
Okay, other questions or comments, Board? All right, has anyone signed up for this particular public hearing? Sit tight, sit tight, sit tight. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on this matter? Mr. Baruti, if you would, please come forward and identify yourself for the record. And then I'll just remind anyone coming to speak, the closer you are to the mic, the better the amplification, according to our team downstairs. So we'll need to speak right into the mic and not be shy.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ron Baruti. I own the buildings on both sides of Cha-Cha's. To the north, we own the old Penfield hardware store, which is incognito, and we own the building next to that, which has a sushi restaurant and the nail salon, and upstairs there are 5 apartments. And I also own the brick building to the south, and in that building, on the first floor, right next to Cha-Cha's restaurant, we have a massage therapist on the first floor and an acupuncturist. And I feel that any outside music would be a detriment to my buildings, and I think that's such a congested area that would just be a nuisance to other people in the 4 corners in that area. The 5 apartments that I have upstairs, on a nice summer night, if the tenants are up in their apartments and they have the windows open, they're going to be hearing music. Grand V is right out back, and they have Villagewood, they have assisted living and independent living. I don't see a reason why there has to be music outside. It would just negatively affect the area. And I know when the restaurant was issued its permit in November of 12, they stated that they would not have live entertainment and that any interior music wouldn't be audible, shall not be audible from the exterior of the restaurant, and that was a condition of approval. And then in 2015, in May, when the outside dining area was approved by the town, it was approved on the condition that the restaurant shall not be permitted to have any type of entertainment or pipe music to the exterior of the restaurant. So it wasn't a good idea initially, it wasn't a good idea in May of 2015, and I don't know why it's a good idea now. I just think it would be too much of a detriment to the neighboring properties and to my tenants.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on this particular matter? Okay. I would ask, I think I saw Mr. Costello. Mr. Costello, Development Services Director for the town. Is there anything that has not been placed into the record that you believe is appropriate for the board to have into the record this evening? Okay. Board, one last opportunity. Any additional questions for the applicant at this point? No. To the applicant, any additional information you would like to give to the board this evening regarding the proposal of having music on the patio?
No, I think you have everything.
Okay. So next steps, the board will next discuss this at our work session, which is next Wednesday. We do that in the back of the room. Check the agenda that we put out typically right after noon on Friday. And but that would be the next opportunity the board would take that up for discussion from this public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll declare this public hearing closed. We'll move on to the next session, and I just want to make sure that folks understand this next session that we're going to have is a public information meeting. This is not a public hearing. This public information meeting, the board wanted to make sure that we gave residents in the town, especially neighbors, an opportunity to come in and hear what was being proposed. So as a result of this, there will be no final decisions made by the board. This will be public information, and then the board We'll then decide whether or not this should go to the next step, which is a formal hearing. So we'll get to that, and I'm going to call for the hearing. You'll have an opportunity to speak, sir, as we get into this.
I was wondering if questions could be asked later on.
Absolutely. No different than the formal hearing we just had. We'll have the similar format. Everyone and anyone will have an opportunity to speak. I will look for first-time speakers to get all the first-time speakers out first. And then if someone wants to come back up, then we'll go on to second or third-time speakers. So with that, I will ask our clerk to please read the notice that was placed on our website and the local newspaper.
This informal discussion is to consider the possible development of a pet hotel and to discuss with all persons interested on the question of said proposal at 125 Panorama Creek Drive. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on March 31st, 2016, posted on the town's website and town clerk bulletin board. 84 postcards were mailed.
Great, thank you. And again, this is an informal discussion, not a legal public hearing, so I will not ask the town attorney if it's properly before us, because there are some different rules and regulations for an information meeting. With that, we'll ask the applicant to give us an update overview, and once we've done that, then we will open it up for public discussion. So with that, Mr. Goldman, the floor is yours.
Good evening. I rarely have problem being heard, so if anyone has a problem hearing me, just let me know, please. My name is Jerry Goldman. I'm the attorney and agent for the Imbersia family, who is the owner of the former Camp Hakamo property, which is located off of Panorama Creek Drive in the town. The property is located in the limited industrial district under the town zoning. And the limited industrial district does allow a number of uses as of right, and those uses include scientific research or experimental development of materials, methods, or products, including engineering and laboratory research, light manufacturing, assembly, and fabrication, offices, hotels, adult uses and adult entertainment establishments, and uses accessory to those above uses. What is being proposed on the site is a pet spa. And the pet spa, many of you are familiar with, because we had a meeting with the board of the Allens Creek Valley Association. I assume that most people are Allens Creek residents. We also had an informal meeting with the town board relative to this. The project is designed to be accessed off of Panorama Creek Drive and comes into the site. There's located within an area relatively close to the driveway a proposed building, 16,000 square feet, which will house the dog spa and hotel. There's parking areas. Those are more in this direction. They're more away from residences. The residences of Allens Creek Valley are located around the side on the left. For purposes of just having a sense of where this is relative to Allens Creek Valley, the engineers, and Mark Kostic is the project engineer from Kostic Engineering, dimensioned a few of them. At its closest point, we're talking about 307 feet away from the nearest building. That's in excess of a football field. We go 339, 430, 471. Compare that to existing Fisher Thermoscientific building, which is located here, which is approximately 150 feet away from the nearest residence. That becomes critical when we talk about the major point I think everyone is here for tonight, and that's to talk about noise. But we'll talk about the operation and how the pet spa does work. The facility itself, and Mark, if you can put up the elevation, has a covered drop-off, a check-in area, a grooming area, a training area, a retail area, a play area with pool and beach, 90 pet rooms, noise dampening and design, all inside. All those activities are to be conducted inside. The services to be provided are boarding, daycare, grooming, training, and retail. The operations themselves provide for 12 to 15 employees on site with 24-hour staffing. There is daycare available for the dogs from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. There are a total of 90 rooms which are a part of the project, and each room has a sanitary facility. There are rotating play groups in 2 rooms which are located within the eastern portion of the site, along in the main building over here. All services and operations, and this is the important thing, so we do want to emphasize, all operations, except for some limited operations, are to be conducted indoors. A lot of people are concerned, and I heard people talking out in front, it's going to be noisy, and it's going to be noisy, but it is not going to be noisy. The fact of the matter is that the initial design that we had for the building provided for individual fenced-in areas outside of the pet rooms to allow for cleaning of the rooms, to allow that type of maintenance to occur. Having heard the concerns about having dogs outside, that has been eliminated. There will be no fenced-in area to allow the dogs, even individually, to go outside of the building without supervision. The 2 exceptions with... Wrong word. Yes. I said without they will not be allowed to be there without supervision. Okay. Let me explain, if I may. Thank you. Let me explain the 2 exceptions with regard to the entire indoor operation. There will be a time when there will be one-on-one dog walking with a trainer and a dog. The maximum amount that we are talking about are 2 trainers at any time. So we're talking about 2 dogs outside at any given time. The second category is one-on-one training, and that training also is to maximum within the site. As the town will explain, and the town attorney will explain, the town has the ability to condition approvals based upon what we represent being done. So that is what we are proposing. That is what we intend to do on the site. So basically what we're talking about is perhaps a maximum of 4 dogs outside, except for those that are coming into the facility. As they come into the facility, they come in through a covered porte cochere and they enter the building itself. Other than coming into the building and coming out of the building, we are talking about a total of 4 dogs maximum outside. We have other considerations relative to this, which is on this board. The indoor operation does avoid any health concerns related to ticks and other environmental considerations. The indoor is climate control for comfort. Natural lighting occurs with high windows. There will be screening of dogs for vaccination, screening of dogs for aggressive behavior. Daycare dogs are also assigned a room, so that limits the capacity of what we're talking about, and there will be no free roaming which is allowed. We anticipate that we'd be looking at, for the most part, in the layout that we're talking about, 1 dog per room. There are a total of, I believe, 10 suites which are located within these wings, and those 10 suites could accommodate up to 3 dogs. So we would be talking about perhaps a total of 110 if we have full occupancy on the site. We've heard what people are saying relative to this. We're sensitive to what people are saying about it. We do know right now that there are concerns relative to noise impact. For that reason, we hired FES Associates, who is an environmental consulting firm, to prepare a noise study, which has been provided to the town. Because we are near the Fisher Thermo Scientific site, there is what's referred to as a fair amount of ambient noise, and that ambient noise comes from facilities within, fans and the like, trucks that come in and everything else. There is some noise which is above the noise that you would hear, particularly in a residential community. There's more noise which is there. The noise is measured in decibels, and the decibel level which was reported after doing noise study and noise checking out here was at, I believe, 48.2, 48 was the noise level in what's referred to as decibels. A study was done, and we took a look at what is roughly an equivalent type of facility, which is a facility in Farmington, which also is a pet spa. For those of you familiar with Finger Lakes Racing and Gaming, if you come into the road, which is just before you go there, there is a pet spa at that location. And noise readings were taken around that facility. The noise readings were approximately 51. And in some cases, to that degree, taking the guidelines set forth by the New York State DEC relative to noise impact, it says that changes in noise level from 0 to 3 decibels will have no appreciable impact on receptors. Receptors are the people who would be hearing. So within the DEC guidelines, this is deemed to be no appreciable impact on receptors. Now, this is what we're proposing. This is what we're going to do. Unlike the rumors when I heard coming in and elsewhere saying it's just going to be a yap fest. Everyone's going to be out there. There are going to be all these dogs. There are going to be 90 dogs in the place, and they're going to be all over. They aren't. And the town, as part of their approval process, can address that particular issue. I know there are a fair amount of people here, and there will be, as it goes forward, a formal public hearing. So I wanted to give everyone this introduction relative to it, and then ask Mark if he has anything to add relative to the site or site development before we turn it back to the board for any questions. Our preference, if we can, is if there are questions from the audience, we prefer to take notes and address them at the end, so that way we're sure that we don't duplicate our answers, and that we're pretty thorough in our method of responding. So with that, Mark? Oh, I took all his stuff. I'm sorry. Okay. With that, we appreciate the board's attention, and certainly any questions that the board has, we'd be ready to answer at this time.
I have a question, Mr. Goldman. Can you take me back to the decibels you were talking about? You mentioned 48.2 decibels. What does that mean? Does that mean that where am I standing, and what am I hearing, and what translate that for us?
I'm going to let the engineer talk to that.
Good evening. My name is Mark Kostic, Kostic Engineering. As Jerry indicated, the study was done by FES Associates, Dr. Frank Scaramano, so I'm filling in for him. I'm not the expert that he is, but I can try and answer your questions. The ambient noise was measured in 2 locations. One was 170 feet away from the building, and one was 140 feet away. So basically, at our property line in a location here and here.
Okay, so the maximum distance that was measured was to your property line.
That's correct. We're looking at the ambient noise level for what's out there today. We measured at our property line. We then measured the noise level at the other pet spa, and that was closer. That was 80 feet. So through calculations, Frank was able to, account for distance, because the sound energy levels are a function of distance. So, it gets a little complicated because decibels are logarithmic, so you can't just add them, you have to convert them, and that's all within that study.
Well, I know what we've had sound studies presented to us in the past, and I think the practical way to explain them is explain it to me as if I'm a person, I'm standing on your property line. what does 48.2 decibels mean? I know in sound studies, we've had people say, a horn is this decibel, a barking dog is this many decibels, 5 barking dogs is this many decibels. Was that done in this case? So if the
They
4
look-
dogs are walking out there and I'm on your property line and they're barking, am I going to hear that?
Excuse me.
It would
We-
be
we
no
give-
different than a dog.
Everybody's going to have an
In
opportunity
your
to
in
speak.
their neighborhood walking, I think you would hear that dog bark.
We can provide that information. We didn't have the full chart of what various things are. When you get to a lawnmower, that's roughly 100 decibels, for example.
Because I would imagine that if I'm a resident, that's what I want to know.
Uh-huh.
Is how, what noise will be heard different than what's there today?
Yeah, the difference of the noise from what's here today is what's addressed in this report. And what we're saying is that it's incremental. It's basically from the high 40s to the low 50s in terms of decibel difference. That was in the report that was provided dated April 15th. We can embellish on that or have our expert embellish on that. I will say this. Dr. Scaramano did not avoid this meeting. We actually scheduled around him, but he's on the Lake Ontario Commission dealing with water levels, and today, unfortunately, is the day when they were having their hearings in Washington on this. So he regretfully called us and told us that he wouldn't be able to attend. But when we come to a public hearing on this, if there's a need to embellish, and as I stated, the DEC guidelines indicate that if there's a change in noise level from 0 to 3 decibels, it's deemed to have no appreciable impact on receptors. So we can provide more information if you need it.
I think one other point that's worthy, if you go on site, you can look at the site that we studied, and that's basically a metal building. It's a large metal building. Doesn't look like there's any really noise attenuation. Our building is going to be different. It's going to be a finished interior with insulation and with sound attenuation device built into it. So, you know, we did this noise analysis because it was such an issue, and we started out with dogs being outside. You know, the dogs are going to be inside here.
Okay, I think what I want to do is, the purpose of information meetings is to have and to hear that dialogue from residents and the applicant. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify those that would like to speak. Do we have a list that have signed up, Amy?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we'll start with that list first. If you didn't sign up, that's okay. We'll get through that list first, and then we'll go on to those that did not sign up but would like to address this matter. So our town clerk would please.
I'll leave the handheld microphone up here. It's a lot better if anybody does hold it relatively close. It's tough with this microphone to really get close and have it work. So, but that is an option. But I'll leave this up here as well.
Thank you.
Our first person is Bud Knapp.
Welcome, Bud.
Thank you. I'm Bud Knapp. I live at 90 Winding Creek Lane in the Elms Creek Valley Complex. And I'm an architect, and I also realized that when we moved into that complex that what was down below was there. And this is something new to the and added to, you know, to our environment. So I'm suspecting that under this zoning classification, which I guess is limited industrial.
Industrial.
I don't really understand how a hotel for dogs qualifies under a hotel. So if you look up the definition, which I did, of a hotel, it does not describe pet spas or hotels. So as I said, we purchased our property with the expectation of that there was some noise coming from the industrial land down below, but it hasn't proved to be a problem. But again, I don't understand if there's I understand there's a pool. Is this an indoor pool? And a beach? Is that an indoor beach? Where are these dogs going to be if they're not going to be outdoors? And I know it's just 4, which how you're going to control that, I have no idea. And so until we know more or whatever, I think this would be a very big disservice to 200 and some residents in that area to do this. And I think you're going to hear from a lot of other people the same thing. So I'm against it, and we'll come back to your other meetings if necessary. Thank you.
Barbara Colucci.
Hello.
Hi, Barbara.
I'm Barbara Colucci, 88 Winding Creek Lane. I was very happy to hear the gentleman talk about moving most of this indoors. That was very comforting. But my sister and I have a unit and we're animal lovers, dog lovers. We own 2 dogs. Ideally, I think we'd probably be customers for a pet spa or a pet hotel. However, I'm opposed to the location of it. And despite listening to the gentleman about the indoor containment of the dogs, which is interesting for defecation, I'm not sure how you're going to manage that. But what worries me is not just the noise coming from the dogs, the 4 dogs, the 90 dogs, but it's also the fact that in our quadrants, the adjacent quadrants of Valence Creek Valley, we have several dogs in the neighborhood, needless to say. They're spread around the neighborhoods, they go walking, they don't generally bother each other. But when you have a concentration of dogs, be it inside a facility, because dogs pick up on the noise, or outside, when dogs hear dogs barking, they start barking. And my concern is it's going to exacerbate the situation of our own barking dogs in the neighborhood by listening to these dogs indoors or outdoors, because dogs hearing will pick up the dog noises, believe me. I also just kind of question the notion of the ambient noise at 48 decibels versus the barking dog noise at 50 or something. I mean, to me, ambient noise is like white noise. Decibels for white noise, to me, don't equate to decibels for barking dog noise, but I'm not an engineer, so I can't answer that question. So our major concern is, again, the noise, and it's not just the noise coming from the spa, it's the noise that'll be generating from our own community, from our own dogs. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Charles Lewis.
Charles, before you get started, could we take that chair and that board right there, Mr. Yeah, if we could just move that out of the way behind you. No, behind you, the one behind you. If we could just clear up that walkway through there, I think it'll make life a little easier for folks trying to get down in front. So, Charles, I apologize. Go right ahead, sir.
Charles Lewis, 56 Waterview Circle. I have a couple of issues. If in this zone a hotel is permitted, then I'm really incensed by the use of hotel for a kennel. According to dictionary definition, a hotel is a place that has rooms in which people can stay, especially when they're traveling. A place that provides food, lodging, other services for paying guests. A kennel, on the other hand, is a shelter for a dog or cat, an establishment for the breeding or boarding of dogs or cats. So if you were to buy their argument that this is a hotel, then...
If you use the mic, please.
If we buy the argument this is a hotel, we have no really reason to be here. Secondly, I was emailed a copy of the site plan just last Friday, I believe. It's dated December, and it shows clearly the outdoor runs that were originally proposed. 60 of them out of the 90, what they call rooms. If that isn't the case, that's a whole new project in my estimation, so I would like an answer to that.
I think the answer to that is that when they came in to talk to this board at a work session back several months ago, that was something that they proposed. this board felt that it was important to hear the neighbors and hear from the neighbors, and hence why we wanted to have this information meeting. Between then and now, so we've heard, as you have heard, that they've made some modifications to the facilities. So what we heard back in the December timeframe and what we're hearing now is different. So we're both learning
Okay.
together as
So-
part of this information meeting.
But that is not a part of their documentation at this current time. My last question has to do with...
And I'm sorry, Charles, who mailed that out?
Your
Mr. Costello.
Development
Got it,
Director.
okay, thank you.
Where does this outdoor activity occur? I understand it's under supervision. Is it all over the 11 acres, or is it adjacent to the stream, or where is it? And what happens to the waste of the dogs relative to a really vital stream, which is full of salmon and trout and feeds into Lake Ontario? So how do they cover that collection?
Okay.
Thank you.
And we're going to have an opportunity, I see them gathering some notes, Mr. Kosich and Mr. Goldman, and we're going to go through, and once we get through our first-time speakers, we will then go through, give them the opportunity to address some of these, and then that may trigger some second-time speakers as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you very much.
Ron Matthews?
Good evening, Ron.
Good evening. Thank you, members of the board. My principal concern, besides some of those mentioned already, is that once projects become approved and they come into being, some fuzzy areas can develop with usage. And the ability to police those fuzzy areas can prove in the long run to be very important to other people. We have rules in our community at Allen Creek Valley that says owners are obligated to pick up after their dogs. I'm ashamed to say that some of our owners don't. I will tell you this, I'm there. If I see them not do it, I'll tell them they better shape up. And if they don't shape up, I'll report it to the board. That's their obligation to our community. So the question I have is, what enforcement bureau is this board going to establish to make sure that this facility, if approved and established, follows the guidelines that are set forth? And what recourse will we, as neighbors, have if the original reasons for approving aren't followed? Secondly, I heard, this is the first time I'm seeing a lot of this detail, but I heard mentioned that it'd be an air-conditioned facility, there'd be insulated walls, etc. I don't know anything about the Farmington facility. I think just to come up and point that out as something that should be an assurance for us that everything is hunky-dory is begging a lot of questions. We don't know the details of whether that facility is insulated or to what extent. We don't know if it's air-conditioned to what extent. My point further is that if this facility has windows that open, then the issue of noise may become a factor where it might not be a factor somewhere else. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I'll let the clerk call the next person while they're making their way up. I'll comment about the poop patrol issue and try to address that to a certain degree. So go ahead.
Warren Shattuck.
Warren, as you make your way up, we do have an ordinance around residents that have dogs that to pick up after themselves. Similar to what you see in your complex, we do have, unfortunately, residents that walk their dogs and do not pick up after themselves. Unfortunately, I'm in the same boat as you are. If I see it, I tend to have a conversation with folks around that. And the enforcement is done by our animal control officer. And we do have a number of calls that do come in on some regular basis where we have problems and we follow up. And a number of folks have been before our local justice court to address that matter. So that is a part of that answer for following up with that. So, yes, sir, please. Your floor is yours.
Thank you. I am Warren Shattuck, 59 Winding Creek Lane. I am one of the founders of Camp Hackamo, and I was on the original board for 10 years in the early days. So I am especially interested in what is going to happen to this property. I am a Fairport Rotarian. That's how I got involved. And I represented the Fairport Club and representatives from other Rotary clubs in Monroe County got together and formed the original camp. For the first 3 years, we were out at the Rush Rifle Range, which was owned by the Culver Road Armory. And then Emil Mueller, who's developed Panorama Plaza, donated this land, which behind the plaza, which we are talking about tonight. I thought I'd give you a little history on Camp Hackamo.
Thank you.
My wife Marlene and I moved into Allen's Creek Valley 18 years ago. We had just gotten married. We were newlyweds. My first wife of 46 years had passed away a couple years prior, and I had retired from my practice of dentistry in Fairport several years prior to that to be a caregiver for my wife. We found Allen's Creek Valley a perfect spot for us. We have a unit, it had just been built at the very end of the road. We have woods on 3 sides. I can stand in my driveway, look over the gully, and there's Camp Hackamo, the Field of Dreams. So I felt that connection. The thing that appealed to us so much was the peace and quiet. As a result of the peace and quiet, we had abundant animal life. We have had deer, we've had flocks of wild turkeys, and several years ago we had a family of foxes that raised their young just outside our back window that we could watch. And we would enjoy seeing the cubs playing in the grass and even on our driveway. This peace and quiet was something that we just enjoyed so much. In the summer, we could hear the happy laughter of the children at Camp Hackamo when they was in session as they enjoy their outdoor activities. And I'm not too sure, well, we will enjoy the noise that a camp spa will bring to us, to say nothing about what this will do to the value of the properties in Allen's Creek Valley. I want to thank the board for giving us this opportunity this evening to express these concerns. So thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Doctor.
Carolyn Marshall.
Welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you for allowing us all to come and learn about what's going to go on in our backyard, possibly. My name is Carolyn Marshall, and we reside at 56 Allens Creek Valley, which is to say we are probably one of the closest neighbors to this proposed building. When the discussion took place about the distance, a football field away, I would also ask you to look at it another way. The average suburban lot equals about 100 front feet on the road, right? So what we're really saying is from our homes, neighbors 3 doors down have 90 dogs. I'd be interested to know how it's possible to build a building where you would not hear 90 barking dogs. There are quality of life issues, there are property value issues that we are very, very concerned about. I'm also curious to know when these people drop off their dogs, they're going to be approximately the same time of day, and likewise when they pick up the dogs. Within a 2-hour period of time, people will be dropping off many dogs. That they cannot assure us, I don't see how they could possibly assure us that there would be no more than 4 dogs outside at any given time. I just don't see how that's possible. Likewise, when they pick them up late in the afternoon, you've got a period of time when there are a lot of dogs. Dogs go by dogs, they bark. They say hello to dogs, they see other dogs, they're all barking. Also wondered what the assurances would be, or what our mode of action would be if we are unhappy with the results that the proposal has put forth. What are our options to, what's our recourse? What do we do? Are there possibilities for expansion beyond what they're talking about? How many dogs in the Farmington facility are located there so that the decibel level report that they gave to us is based on how many dogs versus 90 dogs. 90 dogs seems to me to be an inordinate amount of dogs. I don't see how you can possibly guarantee that people outside are not going to hear them. Imagine your neighbors 3 lots down from you with 90 dogs. Please think about this when you make your decision. I appreciate you letting us speak.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Paul Anderson?
Good evening, Paul.
Good evening. I live on 50 Winding Creek Lane. I'm one of the newcomers. I've only been there 8 years. But I will say I came from a home that was built. It was the oldest 2-story home in the town that I lived in, and it was very quiet and peaceful. I drove into Allens Creek my first time, and as I'm driving down the hill, I thought to myself I'd been blessed, because it was a death in the family that got me to move there. I love the peace. I love the quiet. I love the animals that are walking through our back lawn, the deers and the fox and everything that was mentioned here tonight. It's a peaceful, wonderful place we live in. We are all blessed. I agree with what Carolyn said. It's hard for me to fathom that 90 dogs could, and coming and leaving. I thought the same point that Carolyn was making. How do you have 90 animals or animals leaving in the morning and the afternoon and not have noise? And decimal factors that we are used to, it's continuous, constant noise. It's, as Carolyn pointed out as well, white noise. It's not magnified periodically during the day that would, disrupt us and in our homes. And it is hard to believe what 90 dogs would be 3 homes away. Difficult. It's peaceful. I sit out on my deck and listen to Allens Creek Valley, the water running by, and have my cup of coffee in the morning. To be disturbed by dogs coming in and being dropped off, and that level of barking more, I can't even fathom that. We live in a peaceful, wonderful place, and please help us keep it that way. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Paul.
Phil Weintraub.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, for this opportunity. Diane and I moved into 73 Winding Creek Lane a year ago, February, and it was the fourth place we bid on in Allen's Creek Valley because the other three we couldn't finalize the deal. That tells you how much we liked the place and how quiet it was. And that's the reason we moved there. And we're sitting on the deck this morning, a little chilly, but there was a wild turkey in our backyard this morning. My experience tells me when one dog barks, all dogs bark. And no matter what you do from a soundproofing standpoint, as Carol said, that many dogs that close are going to make a lot of racket. Now, Mr. Goldman said that the Fisher Scientific Building is closer to Allen's Creek Valley than the proposed hotel would be. I will answer Mr. Goldman saying the people who work at Fisher Scientific don't bark. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Phil.
Lee Vester.
Hi, I'm Lee Vester, 50 Winding Creek Lane.
And pretty well everyone has spoken to all the things I wanted to say, but I don't want to not reinforce that. And I don't think I realized that the people planning this, and I love the idea too, who doesn't want animals to go on vacation like we all do? I think it's a cute idea, a great business. But, and I've been there 22 years. I'm one of the longest living? No. Longest residing people there. And
we hope you have many more years.
Yeah, I know. So I wanted it to be good and peaceful. And I was there when Camp Hakama was there, and kudos for that. A lot of people didn't like the sound of it. I thought, how could you not? All that laughter and the music, but there were still people who wanted peacefulness. But at least that was a joyful, it almost had its own white noise, but a beautiful white noise. And it was wonderful to hear that in the summer. And it doesn't compare. I love animals too. But if they're going on vacation, I don't want them on their vacation to wreck my everyday life. I mean, that's temporary for them. It's permanent for us. We live there. And I just don't feel that the reference to the decibel rating, and again, that one in Farmington, like, I was kind of insulted by that reference. That meant nothing. And I felt like wool was being pulled over my eyes because of it. Because what were you measuring? What are you measuring? And when you were measuring the noise over, the decibel noise over at our area, where were you standing exactly? On what part of the property? Right next to the Tops trucks? And your noise is going to be less than that? It's not going to be. And the windows also. There apparently is a window at each of the 90 areas. No outdoor room, but windows, okay? So are you going to open those so they get fresh air? Because it's going to be needed, I'm sure. Are you going to have screens? All the windows are open, like Carolyn said. That's going to be very noisy. And how thick are the walls anyway? So there's lots of ways that barking dogs can get their noise out the building without them being outside the building. But also, it only takes two. Forget the four even. It only takes two. It only takes one to be yapping all the time. It only takes one. So I love the idea. I'm sorry, doggies, but I think you need to visit somewhere else.
Thank you, Lee.
Brenda Heller.
What you do with the microphone? Hi, thank you for allowing us to speak. I am Brenda Heller at 55 Winding Creek Lane. I'm Carolyn's next door neighbor, and we back right up to that area. I have a question, and you can tell me it's not germane, but this is going to require some change in the zoning for back there. Is that correct?
That may be the case, yes.
And in order to qualify for a zoning change, doesn't the person applying for that change have to show exigent circumstances?
There are certain things that would have to be shown if, in fact, we were to go down that path, and that's certainly one of the things that, as part of our overall review, that we're going to be taking a look at with our town attorney. The amount of acreage, what the state law calls for rezoning, what the ordinance currently calls for. So we're going to be looking at all of those aspects as well.
Okay. And our backyard is like a sanctuary. The whole neighborhood is just incredibly beautiful and quiet and serene, and we'd sure hate to see that changed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brenda.
Frank Odorizzi.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity of speaking here tonight. A couple of questions. There was a mention in the light industrial section of the ordinance about a hotel. That doesn't include a pet hotel, does it?
A hotel is a hotel.
That's what I thought. Okay. So that the board would have to grant a variance in this case.
Some kind of zoning consideration.
Now, in reference to the, this was already mentioned, in reference to the noise report that was submitted, it's absolutely worthless. You're comparing apples and oranges. The question is, what is the decibel noise level of a building yet to be built? We don't know that. So a comparison to anything else, all dogs don't bark the same. They don't all make the same noise. So when you're comparing it to another facility, it's absolutely worthless. So don't be overly impressed with that. I just want to mention, I don't mean to be the Grinch here, in reference to Camp Hackmel. My property is directly across this proposed motel. And when Camp Hackmel was in business, I had the choice on a July and August afternoon to take my beverages choice in the backyard with the yelling and screaming at Camp Hackmel that had 3-foot speakers pointed at my house. I went over there several times to see if they would stop making the noise at a reasonable time, 9 o'clock. They went at times beyond that, 11:30. I even offered to give them the money to turn the stage around so it wouldn't be facing my house, and they turned me down. The other choice I have is I could sit in my front yard and hear the gunfire from the Genesee Valley Club. So I'm caught between the heart and a rock, a very difficult position. I don't think that this is an appropriate place for a facility such as this. It makes more sense because of the wild animals that we have. We have deer and other people, deer, foxes, raccoons, woodchucks, all kinds of turkeys. It makes a lot more sense to make that a forever wild area where these animals are protected. And then my other question is this. There's going to be an environmental impact study, I would assume.
If this were to proceed, yes.
Yes, okay. And I would assume that would take into consideration the wildlife habitat that's in that area. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks at everything.
Right.
As part of the seeker
Right.
process.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
The last one I have is Peter Giopoulos.
Good evening.
Thank you. Peter Giopoulos at 45 Sky Ridge Drive in Allens Creek Valley. And I just want to represent a little bit of history that may help define the values that many people have at Allens Creek Valley. And for the sake of brevity, I wrote it down. Okay? A special committee at Allens Creek Valley researched the pros and cons of providing generators that would automatically turn on once a week, once a month, depending on what brand you got a hold of, a necessary function that tests the working condition of generators. The committee found that these generators that would be installed outdoors were noisy, and more importantly, the residents were overwhelmingly rejecting the idea. The reason was noise pollution. And I just want to mention that with generators, you can kind of control when this test takes place. And I think one of the other things is that many have mentioned how much they enjoy the outdoors at Allens Creek Valley, and it's a total environment more than just a house on a piece of property. The noise factor is a quality of life issue, and the dog spa, motel, hotel, servicing up to 90 dogs is just not compatible to the lifestyle of the 202 homes at Allens Creek Valley. We value the definition of residential lifestyle and do not want the character of the neighborhood changed. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. So that was the last speaker to sign up. We can start down to those that would like to add, or we can ask the applicants to make some comments based on some questions that have been asked. Is there a preference? Yeah, absolutely. But sit right there, because there's a young lady right back there was before you. You had your hand up, so please come forward. You'll be number 2, sir. And then we have a 3 and a 4 right down here, and a 5 right there, and a 6. Sold.
We should start auctioning off something.
You just bought the town hall. So, yes, ma'am, if you'd come right up and you come. No. We're tape recording this. This is for folks to be able to, that couldn't make it here, that can come in and watch it, that we have online and available for historic information and data.
If this is too loud, let me know. My question is simply this.
Could you please give us your name and address?
I am sorry, and thank you for the opportunity. I forgot to say that, too. I'm Lois Miller, 2 Hill Creek, Allens Creek Valley. Mr. Goldman and his associates or colleagues gave us quite an explanation of the intermittent ambiance noises. Did I say that right? Ambience. Ambient. I spelled it correctly. And I'm just wondering if anybody really knows how these noises affect the more sensitive hearing that I believe dogs have. They are going to be turned on more than they would have been by the same noises if they were in the safety and familiarity of their own homes. And, well, anytime an animal is boarded away from home, they're not at ease as they are in their own homes. We know that, no matter how marvelous the facility is. So I'd be more concerned about those noises affecting the animals than I am about the same noises affecting any of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois. Yes, sir, the blue sweater.
Yeah, my name is Jim Baker, 28 Hill Creek Road, and I'm an engineer who designed and built industrial manufacturing equipment for 40 years. And to say something is 48 dB, that's a constant noise, like a hum or ringing in my ear. Generally, you measure noise as on a time-weighted average. Like if I scream, and then we wait a minute, and there's no other sound, your dB is going to be 30 on a time-weighted average. So as a constant, you're going to have dogs barking, not barking, barking, not barking. The sound needs to be measured at 4 corners of the building. I think this 48 dB, 150 feet away is the wrong way to measure sound.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, sir, please.
Wow. Green Valley Canine Ranch.
Can we have your
Sir,
name and address?
My
for the
name is
record?
Don Maggio.
Thanks, Don.
I live at 55 Waterview Circle. I've been a resident there for 39 years. My home was the first home built on the south side of the pond. And when I moved there, it was quiet and it was peaceful. And I've been living there all this time, and it's still the same way. Now, I was the chairman of the landscaping committee for 15 years there. We had a problem with the factory. The factory was making a lot of noise. My hands shake, I'm sorry.
It's okay, sir.
The factory was making a lot of noise, and we approached them. And I think we even brought it up here to the town board. But we approached them, and we talked to them, and they went ahead and they lowered the noise volume. The trucks and they had they had silos there that they were whisking stuff in, and it was making a hell of a noise. And so what they did is they stopped doing that. We put up a fence to stop looking over there at their property, and it worked out well. And I am opposed to this hotel for dogs. I wonder, have the Green Valley people gone anywhere else in the community or in the area to look for property? Have they been turned down anywhere else? Have they considered going somewhere, like on a farm somewhere out where there's no people living, where there'll be more room for the dogs to run and they'd have more room to do everything without people like Allen's Creek Valley people? We're very quiet, we're very restful. You can't hear a pin drop there. But why can't they go out someplace and find a piece of property on a farmland someplace and build a beautiful building? I'll go for that, but I'm sorry, I'm opposed to them building near Allen's Creek Valley, no matter what they say about town and beauty. That's it, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Don.
Hi, I'm Bill Crandall, live at 49 Waterview Circle. Been there 26 years. I gather that you noticed by now there's not a lot of 20-year-olds living in Ellens Creek Valley. And really there's no kids. So no kids or no noise. And the other thing I can say to you, when we walk our dogs, my dog does not bark. She's been taught not to bark if she sees another dog. So we even trained our dogs not to bark. That's how vigilant we are. The other thing that I think that you should be aware of, the 200 units that we have there at Ellens Creek Valley, we generate an estimated about $600,000 worth of county and town taxes. We also, in school taxes, generate $1.5 million. So we are an entity there and should be very, very important to the town as well as the school district. One other thing, we talked about one dog barking. We have it's a camp, I call it, behind us. A lot of homes up in the hill. And there's one dog that sometimes in the spring and the summer and fall, when we have our windows open, it will start barking in the morning. A morning to us could be anywhere from 6 to 10, okay? So, and it starts barking, you can hear him as clear as day. One dog outside barking. The other thing is I do board my dog in an outside place. It's Brighton Animal Hospital. When I pull up there, when my window's closed, any time of the day or night, to bring my dog into the kennel, I can hear the dogs from the inside barking. And as we all know, if one dog barks, many, many others do. So it's very, very noisy before I even get out of my car. And there's about 20 or 30 dogs in that kennel. I can't imagine 90 dogs. I don't care what you build or how you build it, there's no way you can stop that noise. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Bill. We had two people right back here. I see one coming forward. No? Okay. First-time speakers. We had one or two back in this corner.
This guy right here.
Okay. So, yes, ma'am. Please come forward if you would, and then we'll jump over to this gentleman right over here.
Good evening. My name's Sue Tkach, 4 Skyridge Drive, and I'm about as far away from where the dog hotel is supposed to be built. But something that no one has mentioned, I don't believe, about the ambient noise is that we're in a valley. And I'm at the top of the valley, and all the noise that happens down below echoes up above. So the gun club, you don't hear the gun once, you hear it boom, 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 boom. And so I think when you're measuring the noise level, you need to take that into consideration. It doesn't compare to Farmington at all. And I also want to reiterate what several other people have said. I owned dogs at one time, and when they came back from being boarded at a kennel, they couldn't bark for 3 days because they'd been barking so much. They get happy and excited and nervous and different when they go and stay in a dog hotel. So those are my little bits I wanted to add.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Yes, sir, please.
My name is Bob Lewis. I live at 59 Waterview Circle, right down the street from Don Maggio, across the street from Frank Oderisi, and a whole bunch of other people. Been here 18 years. About a week ago, I met with Jim Costello after receiving the postcard. And Jim did a great job of explaining what he knew at the time, which was subject to a lot of change. But one of the, before I get to that, I'd like to thank the attorney. There's a lot of information here that was very valuable, and I would hope that some of it could be summarized and made available to us at some future date, because it's too hard to digest all of this stuff at once.
Sure.
We could come over to the town hall and pick it up, so you wouldn't even have it, or put an email on it.
What we'll do is, when we have projects like this, we put it up on our website. So we'll look to work with the applicant and Mr. Costello. We'll get the information up, and there'll be a page dedicated to this project.
Okay. My next thing is, talking with Jim, I discovered this is a franchise operation, Green Hills Kennels out of California. It would seem to me we ought to be able to get some information from those people as to how they covered all these problems that here, barking and people's upset about it, and how do they stop that, or could they stop it? So this is a different, and the next question that comes from that, what about expansion? Now this was zoned, I guess, for hotels, and now we're talking about a pet hotel, which can expand, but 15 years from now, all of a sudden, can we expand into a pet restaurant or something? I don't know, but there's other things to be considered here. And I'm also curious as to how much tax revenue the town of Penfield will get, a rough estimate, from an operation like this. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Other first-time speakers? Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Christine Colucci. I live at 88 Winding Creek Lane. And my question really is not specific to Allens Creek Valley, it's more to the town of Penfield. I read or heard somewhere that currently the town of Penfield is in the process of updating our strategic plan, or giving thought to updating the strategic plan. I could be wrong about that. But it would make sense to me to see that plan updated perhaps before entertaining rezoning requests such as this one, so that these projects can be viewed in more of a less of a piecemeal way and more in terms of the strategy for Penfield. Thank
Okay.
you.
So to answer your question, the town last completed their comprehensive review 2010. Typically, the town has, on a 10-year cycle, reviewed and updated their comprehensive plan. So, yep, absolutely. Yes. All right, we'll take a short, yes, sir. Come right up. I was going to say we'll take a short window here and let the applicant provide some input, but we'll get another comment or two in, and then we'll break for that.
I'm Bill Jones from 66 Waterview Circle. Couple questions for the applicant to respond to. I'd like to know what the experience in dog management, or whatever we want to call, that the owner of this property has. Number two, I think it would be appropriate for them to submit documents proving that it would qualify as a hotel. I think that question has to be established first before we proceed, because that's going to determine everything. Number three, going back to the sounds, an ambient noise level compared to a dog barking is beyond apples and grapes or whatever. Also, a dog property in Farmington, I don't know where it is, but is not equivalent to putting it next to Allens Creek Valley condominiums. And that ambient noise, as somebody just pointed out, is an average. Okay, what about Sunday morning when there's 4 dogs barking? What about changes later? This is the first board meeting, I'm a new resident, that I've come to. In your first item, the gentleman talked about twice you've established a limit on music at this place, and now it's being considered for a change. What guarantees will we have that there's only going to be 4 dogs taken outside? Okay, that's a nice guideline, but what do we have that we can bring back to you when it gets too noisy on a Sunday morning? And the assessments, you know, we've got a very nice property. I was glad that the gentleman talked about the taxes. If my property value goes down, you know, I think you can probably expect a lot of the residents to come back and request a lowering of their taxes, because nobody's going to want to buy my house next to 110 dogs, by the way. It's 90 spots, but it's 110 dogs. That really doesn't excite most people who might want to buy a house in Allens Creek. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's take a moment here. I'll invite Mr. Goldman and others back. I see you've been writing a number of notes, and there's been a number of questions that have been tossed out. If you would run down through those. And then once we've done that, we'll open it certainly back up for any additional comments. So please go ahead.
Looks like about 8 pages of notes that I have. We'll try to address as many of the questions as we have information for. Again, we have to remember the context in which we're talking here. This is the initial public information meeting. There will be public hearings with regard to this application, or other information will be fleshed out. But let me try to address as many of these as I can. The first comment by Mr. Knapp was, how does the dog hotel work with current zoning? The fact of the matter is that that really hasn't been finally determined yet by the town. There's talk about what the definitions of what hotels are, and I have definitions which don't limit it to people, but it's really the town that makes the determination initially as to what zoning district is appropriate, whether it's appropriate within this district or whether it's appropriate in another zoning district, and they have the opportunity to consider all of that. There were some people who pointed out that this was a former Camp Hakamo property and did have a substantial amount of noise there before. Again, I'm just going to take a minute and I'll only pick out a few of the uses that are permitted in the current industrial district, and that is light manufacturing, assembly, and fabrication, offices, hotels, and adult uses and adult entertainment. The one thing that we have when we take a look at Fisher Thermo Scientific is a very large industrial complex with a fair amount of parking, a lot of people coming during peak hours and rush hours and everything else, and making some noise on their own. That could be replicated as a permitted use. A lot of other things could be replicated as a permitted use as well, which would generate a fair amount of noise. The question with regard to the pool and the beach are designed and will be indoors as an indoor facility. And the dogs, when they are outside, are on a leash and controlled by the handlers, by the trainers who go out with them. With regard to defecation was raised and how that is dealt with. The whole issue of defecation is something which is clearly important in smells as well as taking care of waste. As we pointed out, there is going to be in each of the rooms, there is going to be an area which has a sanitary facility. In addition, there is going to be an ionization process which occurs within the facility to take care of smells as well. Sometimes we talked about dogs, hearing dogs barking. Other times people said their dogs don't bark. But again, we must remember that we're talking about, other than drop-off and pickup, 4 dogs maximum on the outside. Ambient noise is not white noise. Ambient noise is a measure of noise. And a lawnmower has a noise level. An ambient noise level is the background noise at a piece of property. Properties along an expressway have a very large or very high ambient noise level. Places that are less trafficked or don't have industrial facilities adjacent to them will have a lesser amount. I won't use the K word because this is not a facility which is a fenced-in, dogs yapping kind of place with regard to it. Yes, we have changed the project, and that was another comment. We have changed this project as a result of comments from the public as well as comments from the board. Primary one was not having any facilities outdoors for the dogs in what were fenced-in areas adjacent to the actual building. In addition to that, there was a question with regard to windows. The windows are not operable. They are not meant to be and will not be opened. Question was raised, once projects are approved, fuzzy areas occur. And that's a quote. The fuzzy areas occur. I can tell you what my experience in Penfield was. I did the approval for the Home Depot location down the street. The Home Depot location had 40 conditions on their approval. What happened was that the town was very insistent on bringing in the store manager and actually grilling the store manager on their familiarity with all the conditions. The town does have a code compliance staff, and in fact, they have the ability to regulate that. I can't speak to the HOA rules with regard to picking up after dogs, but I can tell you as a facility of this sort, it is not in the business's best interest to have not picking up after the dogs. Each of the trainers and handlers will have the ability to pick up dogs immediately, pick up the feces immediately upon anything going on with the dogs. The abundant animal life is rather interesting. We're talking about a relatively large piece of property, which is down here, and a relatively small building. The fact of the matter is that if this were to be developed for a permitted use in the light industrial district or any other district, it is likely that the building coverage will not be where we are, as low as 10% or less of the overall site. And there are areas where wildlife still will be allowed to roam and stay. Very often we don't have that luxury of being able to say that. But in this case, there is a good possibility that that will occur. With regard to property values, Property values always come up in these discussions, as well they should. People are concerned about their property values. I don't think there is any empirical evidence or any numerical evidence that would be able to say what the impact of this use would be relative to an industrial type facility next door. And remember, this is zoned light industrial. I'm going to jump to the comprehensive plan and come back, because that's a very important point that was raised. And the town did do their comprehensive plan in 2010. It did take a long time to do it. For those in the audience who want to come back at your next meeting, we'll actually be having a meeting on implementation of one piece of that, which is the mixed use ordinance. So it takes time from the comprehensive plan generation to go through and to actually implement the pieces. That's why there are 10-year windows with regard to putting together comprehensive plans. In terms of the distance, the 300 feet that I talked about was at the closest point. I believe that many of the residents who are in the neighborhood, which is near Winding Creek Lane, I believe, in this area, is 430 to 470 feet away. When I was growing up, I would have loved to have been on a 100-foot lot. I was in a 50-foot lot in Irondequoit, so I would be talking about basically 10 lots down from there. But the question of how you cannot hear 90 barking dogs is that you are having those within the facility. They don't all come at the same time. Some of them are boarded for a period of time, or someone drops them off, and they may be there for a number of days. Some are there on a daycare basis, but the actual drop-off will depend on people's schedule. So to that extent, we don't anticipate a large traffic generation at any particular peak hour with regard to this. Someone asked what the mode of action would be if the neighbors are unhappy. And in fact, if we are doing something which is not compliant with code or with the approval, then the town does have the ability and does take it upon themselves to enforce. With regard to expansion of the property, any expansion would also require town approval. There cannot be an expansion of this facility without receiving town at least site plan approval, and depending on how resolutions are written, may require approval from other boards as well. The couple of people then talked about wildlife, and again, I think the wild turkey still has a place over here. I know the Fisher Scientific people don't bark. I don't know whether they bite or not, but my sense is that there is a generation of noise at a peak time, and that's when shifts let out. We're starting to get somewhat redundant on some of the comments that we have. One of which said, will this require a change in zoning? If it was clear that this was a permitted use under the zoning district, we probably wouldn't be here tonight. We would probably be in front of the planning board for site plan approval. But we do have that issue. But a rezoning does not require exigent circumstances. Hardship standards would apply to a use variance in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but that doesn't apply to any sort of action by the town board. And the comment was, another comment was that people don't want change. For the most part, people don't want change. We understand that. Change is hard for people to deal with. There is always concern about the unknown. So to that extent, we're very cognizant of that when we try to adjust our plan to meet the concerns which are raised by the public and raised by the town. I would venture to say the noise report is not worthless. There may be some questions which may be raised by the town and the town's engineers and experts with regard to it. And of course, we would attempt to clarify that. But this is scientific. In the same way that when we go and we make any sort of presentation for any commercial use, people will say, I don't care what the traffic report says, there's going to be more traffic. Well, at the same time, you really have to take a look at it in the context of the methodology and deal with whatever mitigation is deemed to be appropriate. So, We had one comment say no matter what they say, but that really is up to the board to deal with that as part of conditions. Relative to dollars which are generated, of course, everyone is sensitive to that. We have no indication that this type of facility would have any impact on property values.
Folks, out of respect for everyone, give everyone an opportunity to speak, and then certainly there'll be another opportunity to address any of the comments made.
We have one piece of information that we really need to clarify. This is not a franchise operation. This is an operation. The person who is going to be running this operation has experience in Wayne County relative to a facility that they currently operate. They know how to deal with dogs and know how to deal with what we are talking about. Again, expansion and tax revenues were raised with regard to this. The experience in dog management, we can provide qualifications and provide that to the board relative to the person who will be the operator. And that pretty much summarizes what I have as notes and what we can answer. Again, this is on tape, and if there are questions that need to be answered or that there's a desire to have answered by the board, by the town, we'd be more than glad to do that in writing as part of further proceedings on this process.
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll open it back up for any additional comments. Would like to hit any first-time speakers first, then we can jump to second-time speakers if you like. So any first-time speakers? I see Lee is excited to speak maybe the second time. Any first-time speakers? Yes, please.
Hello. I'm Marlene Maggio. I belong with Don at 55 Waterview Circle. We've been in our beautiful home for 28 years and enjoyed every moment of it as it is. My thought is, in listening to all the wonderful things you've been saying, why compromise this beautiful plan for this pet hospital? It is a beautiful plan. I am an animal lover. I wish I was a vet. I don't see why you have to force yourself on a group of people who do not want you. It's like being a neighbor that is being shunned. No matter what they do, the negativity is already there. We've already made up our minds to dislike this. The plan is not what we're disliking, it's the place it's being put. There's so many wonderful areas in Rochester that are open spaces, that the dogs don't have to be on leashes. They should be able to be free. If they're on vacation, they shouldn't be cooped up as they are in a home. They should be able to run around, enjoy themselves. As a pet lover, I would not want my pet to be in that circumstances for the week that I'm going away for vacation, to have to just be there and told not to bark, not to do this, not to do that. It's the wrong way of starting something. The building is beautiful. I'm sure it'll be kept up very well. That is not the question at hand. The question at hand is that it's in the wrong place. We are not able to have them near us, not because we don't like animals, but because the property doesn't suit for what the plan is of action. Beautiful plan, wrong place. That's all we're saying. We're not shunning them. We're giving them the option to go someplace else and enjoy this wonderful thing they're doing for God's beautiful creatures, animals. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. Other first-time speakers? Yes, sir, in the back. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Mike French. I'm at 26 Hickory Ridge, which isn't, in the valley as you guys are. I'm up on top of the hill. I hear the gun club all the time. It's white noise at this point to me. This project I was really interested in because I have a dog. I board a dog often. My wife and I go to weddings, vacations, or whatever else. And having a facility close, because I think the closest one is probably at least 10 miles away, would be very beneficial to us. I also like that it's creating 15 jobs in Penfield. It's creating revenue for the town. It's also creating construction jobs, which is something this town, this county, the state needs. So I'm for the plan. I understand the noise situation, but I think it could do a lot of good, a lot of revenue, and be great for the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Other first-time speakers? Yes, ma'am. Be patient, Lee, we're getting there.
I'm Nancy Gongloff. My husband and I live at 50 Waterview Circle. I have to think for a minute. I have two questions. One is, as a pastor's wife, when a new pastor is suggested for a church, the first thing that happens is that everybody gets to go to the church where the pastor already is to find out whether he or she is any good and whether or not they can preach. So can we find out where the person who's proposing this facility has a facility in Wayne County so we can check it out? The other thing that concerns me very much is that this property is immediately on water. We drove back in there, there's a little pond, and of course the creek runs right by. So I'd like to know what the law says happens to 90 dogs worth of poop. I understand that there's little facilities in each room, but in my experience, once you fill up the facility, you have to then do something with the poop. And I'd like to know what that is.
Okay, thank you. Others? We'll get to you as a number 2, and Lee is going to be before you. First-time speakers. Okay, so Lee, please.
I just had a question as I thought of all of you going back to deliberate on all of this, and there is so much. And I had a rather embarrassing situation today. I don't live that far up from the spot we're talking about. It kind of dead ends past my house, goes around the corner, and they're right there behind my friend Brenda's house. So I went over there to look at her berm behind her house today. That's the closest I've been because I don't go there. We don't walk on other people's private property, and it kind of is. But I went to peek at it, and Brenda's little dog, which is about 6 inches, and he was in the house, and the door was closed, but he saw us coming back. So that was my first time. That's what I'm embarrassed about. It was my first time to be so close to Camp Hockomout that I had always listened to. And I was shocked at how close it was. No wonder I had heard it so much. So it is really close. So I have 2 comments. Number 1, that little dog, because he saw me, and I was creating motion that he's not used to back there, and sound, talking to Paul. He barked so loud, I don't know how he got that volume out of his 6-inch size, but it was right through the walls, right through the windows, and I actually left the yard quickly because I didn't want to disturb the neighbors, because we have that kind of respect. And so as I think of you going back to deliberate, I know that unless you've walked back there yourself, and I don't know why you would have, I've been there 22 years and I didn't. I hope you'll take a walk over and literally go down Winding Creek Lane and walk into it and see how close it is, because all those numbers sound really big. Football field sounds, it's not that big really, but it sounds big. It's right there. It really is. So I hope you go and feel how it's right on top of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
I'd just like to clarify one thing. Is Jim Costello here? Stand up, Jim. When we had our meeting, she did a good job. Didn't you tell me that it was a franchise operation?
I think we were in the...
Whoa.
Well, we were looking at the Green Hills pictures from California you showed me. Yes. Is that right? Or
Jim, you know the protocol, so thank you.
Here you go.
Thank you. In November, we discussed the fact that I believe that there were other operations like this around the country, and we did pull up Green... I'm sorry. There we go. I'm usually not that quiet either. We did look at other operations around the country. I think there was a franchise of Green Valley Pet Hotels, something of that nature. I'm not quite sure it was California, but I thought it was more like Philadelphia, that area there. And I think that was the one they were initially looking at back in November. And that's the one I referenced to you the other day. So that's it. No, I think you were on target. I think we looked at Green Valley Pet Hotels. We did. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Got it. Thanks. Got it. All right, so I've got a first-time speaker, Jim Petichowski, and then we'll get, thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Tony, and town board. I just got one question.
Jim, you have to give us your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim Petichowski, 58 Waterview Circle. I got one question. When I looked at these drawings from months ago and everything, and I look at them again, as part of this project, does that take care of the total demolition of all the existing buildings that are on that property right now, from Camp Hackamore in its entirety, and clean up the area? Or are we leaving some of that place in shambles? That's the only question I have.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, sir.
Franco DeRisi, 62 Waterview Circle. I just have one question, and it was brought up during the comments that were made. I don't know what the difference between a pet hotel is than a dog kennel. Is there a difference? Can somebody explain that to me? What's the difference between the two? Is it something like selling a used car or pre-owned? I don't know. Is it the same thing? I'm asking. I don't know.
It's one of those things that this board, as part of this review, is going to have to make a determination on.
Okay, so that has not been.
That is correct.
All right.
At this time, it is not.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Carolyn Marshall, again, 56 Winding Creek. I have been by the Farmington facility, and it is right alongside the racetrack. It is out in the middle of nowhere. There is absolutely no residential property around it. It's a very lovely facility. My sister boards her dogs there. It's a 15-minute ride, and I would strongly encourage you to take a look. It might be a good opportunity for you boarding your dogs. Thank you.
Other speakers? Okay. Mr. Goldman, is there a couple of additional comments that you would like to address that were brought up?
I just want to check one thing here. Okay, just to go through some of the newer comments and see what is new relative to it. And see what we can find. With regard to the removal of dog poop, if you will, or the defecation, this will be connected to the sanitary sewer system. So the removal will go into the sanitary sewer system of the town, which is where it should go. I think that the town board will, if they haven't already, walk the site. I think that's kind of a standard of what you do to make sure that everything is in order when you're making decisions. I appreciate the clarification with regard to Green Valley. I took the opportunity because, of course, we're now all Google ready. There is something called Green Valley Pets in El Dorado Hills, California, which was reviewed by Yelp, and I can tell you that we have no relationship whatsoever with that facility or any other facility. The development of the site will entail demolition of all of the buildings at Camp Hackamore, so that will be taken care of. The amenities that we talked about are not necessarily amenities that we typically would see in relation to a facility that the word I'm not going to use. This is a hotel. There are finishes here. There are different programs that are involved. It is run in the same way that a hotel typically is run. And like anything else, I think that any other information that you desire, we can provide, but that's pretty much our response.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry, there was a question about the location of the Wayne County facility, and I don't know if you're prepared to discuss that?
At this point, we aren't. And we need to get further along in this process.
Thank you.
You know, we're at a pre-preliminary stage of this process, the way things seem to be going. So as we move along, that's something that we can discuss.
Thank you.
Okay, I will ask the board at this point any additional questions or comments that you may have.
I would just comment that I appreciate everybody coming out this evening and talking, and as Tony referenced earlier, this is not required for us to hold a meeting like this, but we routinely do for almost all projects that come that might affect residents, so I appreciate the applicant coming forward and being prepared, but also all your comments as well. But I wanted to stress what Supervisor LaFountain had said, is that we are not deliberating on this, yes or no after tonight. This was really more for the residents to come forward and have an opportunity in an informal setting to learn more about this proposed project in the town.
Well said.
The next steps, I think, are important, just to follow up on Councilwoman Metzler's comment. Obviously, a lot of information has come to us, both from the applicant as well as comments from the residents. The board has a number of items that they need to discuss, which includes the current zone, and is something like this permitted in that zone? Does it require rezoning? I would say that the board will do a lot of due diligence over the next several weeks to month. I would say that it's safe to say that it will not be on the work session agenda next Wednesday, but it will be on an upcoming work session agenda. We'll look to establish a web page for this project, and we will keep residents updated when the next time that this board has any dialogue about this particular project. Okay. Thank you for everyone that came tonight. Thank you for everyone that spoke. Please get home safely. I'm going to take just about a 30-second recess to allow folks to get out before we continue on with the rest of our meeting. Again, thank you for coming. Okay, we will resume with the town board meeting. We took a short recess after our public hearing and our informal discussion, so we thank everyone that did come out for that. And we'll move on to our communications and announcements, and I'll first recognize our town clerk, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Penfield residents in need of a new or updated passport are invited to attend the Passport Night in Penfield on Tuesday, April 26th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at our town hall, right here in the auditorium, 3100 Atlantic Avenue. This service comes to Penfield through partnership with Monroe County. Please call the town clerk's office at 340-8627 to sign up in advance. However, registration is not required. For application requirements and information, residents can visit the county clerk's website at www.monroecounty.gov/clerk-passports.php or contact me, Amy Steckloff, at 340-8629. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I will recognize Councilman Quinn, not only for his communications and his announcements, but also for a short certificate proclamation as well.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. In recognition of Building Safety Month for the month of May, I do have a proclamation to read. Whereas the town of Penfield's continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, water conservation, and resilience in the built environment that affect our citizens both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster gives us confidence that our structures are safe and sound. And whereas our confidence is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, laborers, and others in the construction industry, who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians, dedicated members of the International Code Council, use a governmental consensus process that brings together local, state, and federal officials with expertise in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect Americans in the buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, play. And whereas the international codes, the most widely adopted building safety, energy, and fire prevention codes in the nation, are used by most U.S. cities, counties, and states. These modern building codes also include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildfires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And whereas building codes driving growth through innovation, resilience, and safety, the theme for Building Safety Month 2016 encourages all Americans to raise awareness of the importance of building safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, water safety and conservation, energy efficiency, and new technologies in the construction industry. Building Safety Month 2016 encourages appropriate steps everyone can take to ensure that the places where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe and sustainable, and recognizes that countless lives have been saved due to the implementation of safety codes by local and state agencies. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town of Penfield does hereby proclaim the month of May 2016 as Building Safety Month. And it is signed and dated by Supervisor LaFountain and the Town Board. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And if you would give that to our clerk, we'll put that on the official record, and we'll make sure that we post that in the town hall with another copy that we have. So thank you for that, Mr. Quinn.
And two quick announcements. First, save the date for opening day for Penfield Little League is Saturday, April 30th at 9 a.m. The day will start with the annual parade of teams to the fields from behind the town hall, followed by introductions by President Greg Camp, and then the first pitch, play ball. For more information about Penfield Little League, visit PenfieldLittleLeague.com. I'm actually excited about this. For the first year, my son Robert will be in Little League. I'll be somewhere in the back with the team as an assistant coach. I volunteered myself for that, so this ought to be an adventure.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Second, all students in grades 6 through 8 in all Penfield schools or who are Penfield residents are invited to submit essays to compete in the Town of Penfield's annual Memorial Day contest. This year's topic is, what is Memorial Day and why do we honor it? Participants should tell us in their own words what Memorial Day means to them and why it is important that we continue to honor the holiday. Entry forms with contest rules and information are available online at penfieldrec.org, and all entries must be postmarked by May 11th. Please send entries to Memorial Day Essay Contest, care of Penfield Recreation, 1985 Baird Road, Penfield, New York, 14526. The top 3 entries will receive cash awards. Winners must be able to present at the Town of Penfield's Memorial Day ceremony on Monday, May 30th, in order to be eligible to win. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Messler.
I have one announcement this evening. The Town of Penfield Spring Drop-Off will run Friday, May 13th from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, May 14th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Public Works Complex, 1607 Jackson Road. This service is for Penfield residents only, and proof of residency will be checked at the gate. For a detailed list of materials that will and will not be accepted, please visit the town's website at penfield.org. Residents wishing to dispose of items that are not accepted at our spring drop-off are encouraged to visit Monroe County's year-round Echo Park facility located at 10 Avion Drive near the airport. Echo Park is a joint effort between the County of Monroe and Waste Management that provides county residents with a one-stop drop-off. For more information, hours, and other details, log on to www.monroecounty.gov/Echo Park. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Two items. First, the kickoff meeting of the Shadow Lakes, Shadow Pines Community Advisory Committee on the moratorium will kick off on Tuesday, May 3rd at 6 p.m. right here in the auditorium at the Town Hall. The agenda will include charge to the committee, facilitator and member introductions, town staff presentations, work plan, milestones, deliverables, and issues and concerns. The committee meetings will be videotaped and will be archived for future use and reference. Please note that participants at committee meetings will be the committee members, staff, and those professionals that are invited in to present. Public is welcome to attend, however, they may not participate. As part of this work, the committee will host a future public participation meeting yet to be scheduled. And it's important to just note to follow this committee and the work that this committee would be doing. I ask that you log on at penfield.org and look for the Shadows Moratorium Committee webpage. That's penfield.org. My second announcement involves Good Neighbor Day that will take place on Saturday, May 14th to help your neighbors do some spring cleaning. Town is looking for volunteers for this second annual Terry Rothfuss Memorial Good Neighbor Day to help seniors, veterans, and those that might be disabled to do some light yard work and spring cleanup. We need volunteers of all ages, so bring the entire family. Volunteers will meet at the Rothfuss Farm at 8 a.m. on Salt Road for refreshments and to receive assignments. Also, if you know of someone that needs an extra hand, please let us know so that we can look to put that on the list. The work that's going to be done will be taking materials to our drop-off days that Councilwoman Messler just mentioned. We'll rake out flower beds, plant flowers, fix lawn damage, and much more. If you have an interest, please contact Sabrina at 340-8651, or her email is srenner, SRENNER, at penfield.org. And just a note, Terry Rothfuss was a farmer in East Penfield who was a friend to all across Penfield. He was always ready and willing to help anyone at any time. When he passed away in 2014, there was a huge hole that was left within our community. His friends and family wanted to carry on Terry's legacy of friendship by continuing to help their community and inspire others to do the same. Thank you. Councilwoman.
Nice. Thank you. The Penfield Players annual melodrama returns with Sneaky Pete's Underhand Devious Dealings, or The Doctor is Insane. The shows are at 8 p.m. April 29th and 30th, May 6th, 7th, 13th, and 14th. All performances will be held at the Community Center, 1985 Baird Road. Audiences will have the opportunity to boo, to cheer, to throw popcorn when the melodrama, directed by Virginia Monty and written by Billy St. John, takes the stage. To order tickets, call the box office at 585-340-8655, option 6, or visit Penfield Recreation online at www.penfieldrec.org. And my other announcement is my next community chat will be Tuesday, May 17th, 5:30 in the New Book area. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Linda. This brings us to public participation, two opportunities. One right now, I see Ed Linskog. You also have the opportunity at the end of the meeting. You can do that by being here in the auditorium. You can call in at 340-8771, or you can log on to penfield.org. It sure is, Ed. Just pull it across and speak right into it.
Ed Linskog, 40 Willow Pine Way. Great place to live. Just a little update on what's happening what we'll call Willow Pond Woods for the time being. The Trails Committee is committed to helping bring the facility back to a better use with the residents and the neighbors in the area. We've scheduled some work days out there to gather brush that has been chopped down and piled up. We ran into a recent snag. Some truck backed in and dumped a partial load of asphalt on the property. Discussed it with Mr. Costello tonight, and he's going to pursue getting that removed. There seems to be a problem yet with Mark IV in a level of exuberance to match the energy that we're putting in. So if anybody can talk to anybody that knows people in Mark IV and just encourage them that good neighbors are willing to help. One of the neighbors sent her kids into the property to do some cleanup, but it's something that Mark IV really needs to address a little better. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ed. Thanks for the update. This will take us to additions and deletions to the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions this evening? Seeing none. We have the March 2nd, 2016 minutes before us. Would entertain a motion of approval for those minutes?
I move that the minutes from March 2nd be approved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes.
Has the board, town clerk, or town attorney received any petitions since our last meeting? No. Okay. This will bring us to resolutions by function, starting with law and finance and ending with law and finance.
Authorization and ratification of a hold harmless agreement with the Roman Catholic Diocese of Rochester Church of the Holy Spirit, Penfield, New York.
So moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that it is hereby authorized and ratified that the town supervisor of the town of Penfield execute a hold harmless agreement with the Roman Catholic Diocese of Rochester Church of the Holy Spirit in a form that has been reviewed and approved by the town attorney.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. 2016 budget amendment for apportionment of PAVE New York from New York State.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas Senator Funke was able to secure an apportionment for the town of Penfield as part of local PAVE-NY, and whereas the town board desires to have an up-to-date budget in relation to current income and expenditures. Now therefore be it resolved that the following 2016 budget amendment be approved for the Highway Fund as follows. Highway Fund revenue, state aid, amount $47,416.97. Revised amount, $47,416.97. Highway Fund appropriations, PAVE New York, amount $47,416.97. Revised amount, $47,416.97. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? See no further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. Authorization for town supervisor to sign a professional service contract with Edwin A. Summerhays Surveying for stakeout services in connection with the necessary work at 504-B Penbrook Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Whereas the town of Penfield sought quotes for professional survey services to stake out the boundaries of town-owned property at 504B Pembroke Drive, and whereas 3 quotes were obtained and Edwin A. Summerhays was the low bidder, and be it resolved that Edwin A. Summerhays Surveying is awarded a contract to provide professional services for the stakeout of town land located at 504B Pembroke Drive. And be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign a contract with Edwin A. Summerhays Surveying for a professional services fee not to exceed $1,000. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Discussion? Seeing no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. Setting a public hearing to consider preliminary and final site plan approval to allow a 600-square-foot addition to Joey's Pasta House at 1789 Penfield Road.
So moved.
Second.
Whereas an application has been received by the Penfield Town Board for preliminary and final site plan approval pursuant to 250-12-2 of the Town Code to allow a 600 square foot addition to the sit-down restaurant at 1789 Penfield Road, located in the Four Corners zoning district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Penfield Town Board is best suited to act as lead agency within the meaning of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEEKR, and thus does hereby designate itself as lead agency pursuant to SEEKR. And be it further resolved that the subject application is determined to be a Type 2 action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of Penfield shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on May 18th, 2016 at 7 p.m. to consider the said application and to hear all persons interested on the question of allowing a 600 square foot addition to the sit-down restaurant at 1789 Penfield Road. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Cole. Aye. LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler. Aye. Quinn.
Aye.
4 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign contract with Ronald L. Peckham for facilitation services.
So moved.
Second.
Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign a contract not to exceed $8,000 with Ronald L. Peckham to provide facilitation services to the town of Penfield for the Moratorium Advisory Committee. Said contract to be acceptable to the town attorney. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Discussion?
No.
I'd like to make just a couple of brief comments about Mr. Peckham. Mr. Peckham has been in the engineering business for more than 30 years. He, early on in his career after he graduated from Clarkson Engineering, moved into a lot of the civil engineering piece of the business. From there, he moved and transitioned from the technical end into the executive role and rising through the ranks, and most recently served as chairman of the board for C and S Companies Engineering. He has had extensive facilitation roles in his career. He's assumed a facilitator role in performing formal partnering agreements in the company-wide meetings. He has facilitated partner sessions with the diverse groups of more than a decade in Central New York, Boca Raton, San Diego, Anchorage, Alaska, and the island of Guam. He is in the process of moving into to retirement. Lives in the Syracuse area. Does not have any affiliation with the Rochester area. Has not done any work in the town of Penfield or in the Rochester area. With his background and his skills, being registered and certifications as an engineer in 21 states, and involved with seven major professional organizations that he also provides facilitation services. The board felt that he was a great candidate to come in and facilitate this very important role for Shadow Lakes and Shadow Pines. And we look forward to working with Mr. Peckham on this project that again will be kicked off on May 4th. May 3rd, excuse me, thank you, May 3rd, Tuesday, May 3rd. Further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole. Aye. LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler. Aye. Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. 4 ayes, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
4 ayes.
We'll move on to old business. Any old business to come before the board this evening?
No.
Seeing none, is there any new business to come before the board this evening? Again, seeing none. Second opportunity for public participation. Is anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on any matter? Seeing none. And I would then declare this meeting, April 20th, 2016, adjourned at 9:20 p.m. Thank you for everyone that participated. Thank you to Penfield TV.